Hey guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing some recent reads with you. There's an awful lot of books here. I kind of let it get carried away before I did a video. So, we have a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right in. I'm going to start from my DNF down to 5 stars, so we will end on a good note. Yeah. And I have one DNF, and I'm very disappointed about it, but flip back around. I'm very disappointed about this DNF because I was excited for it because I love one of the author's works. And anyways, that book is Shadow Angel, book 1 by Leah Stone and Julie Hall. I've read Julie Hall's Life After series before. I've mentioned it on this channel before. I really enjoy it, really like her writing. So I was excited when she did this collaboration with a different paranormal author. And the covers are gorgeous, as you can see. It's a trilogy. Basically, this girl is like just living her normal life, and then she finds out there's like this angel academy that has like two groups of angels, like shades and lumens. Like one's like a darker one, one's a lighter one, and things ensue from there. I didn't get that far in. I DNF'd it at like 21%. Mainly because I was a little skeptical about this. Mainly, it's kind of a spiritual warfare, but not really. Most spiritual warfare books I only read if a Christian's written them, because as a Christian myself, I know angels and demons are actually real things. It's not like vampires and werewolves and stuff like that, where the creatures don't exist. They're more fantasy. And by obviously people who are not Christians, angels and demons are technically just fantasy creatures. So I tend to avoid them like that. And Julie Hall I know is a Christian. I don't know about Leah Stone. I don't think so, but don't know. And I think that had an influence on this book because one of the groups of the angels, the angelic beings, I suppose. I guess they have like angelic powers, and didn't get far enough into the book to know whether they're part angel or just have angelic powers. Don't know. But I only got far enough into, because the shades, apparently they're employed by demons, which did not sit well with me. Also some kind of suggested material beforehand. I know paranormal often gets very like spicier and stuff like that with their like romances and sexual content and stuff. So there was a few like hints beforehand of that stuff where I was just kind of like, I'm not really that. It's just like, it's okay, but it's a little too much. But this, I got to that point and I was just like, okay, yeah, that's, no, I don't really like the idea of them serving demons. And it's kind of implied from the back cover that the main character may be forced into that situation. I kind of looked into reviews and that's not really the case, but I just decided for my own personal comfort I would quit the book. So yeah, that's why I DNF'd that one. And my next low rated book, assuming I can find the picture, is, would you stop? This thing's annoying. Anyways, the next one is a 2-star, and that is Spy Family Volume 8. I have officially with this volume quit the series. I gave it 2 stars mainly because the violence went up. I don't normally, you know, I'm not like bothered by a lot of violence sometimes. It depends on how it's portrayed. But with the premise of one of the characters being an assassin, we got to see more of her job in that area, and yeah, there was just a lot of bodies and a lot of blood, and honestly, if you're a sensitive reader, I would rate this R, because honestly, it's just a little too much. And I don't know, the story also drags, but also the way they handle it with like the assassin killing people, it was almost like written as funny that she was killing so many people at a time. And I don't know, I didn't like that. Violence I can handle if it's or if it's respectfully done. Like, you know, in a war, obviously you're killing a bunch of people and there's like bodies everywhere. But if it's handled in a way as, this is a terrible thing, I can handle that. But if it's handled as more of a, isn't this fun? I just don't really like that. So I have officially quit the series, which kind of disappointed by it, but I also kind of figured it would come to that after my opinion on from like volumes 5 on. I like the first 4 and that's about it. So yeah, another disappointing one. And for my last one, of my low-rated ones, which is another 2-star, that is Darkness Draws Near by Kristina Hall. I received an arc of this book from the author in exchange for my honest opinion, and I didn't like it. It's the second book of her Kentucky Midnight series. It is a Christian romantic suspense thriller with in a dystopian type United States, and the plot made no sense to me. First of all, it felt like a random sort of events kind of just they sort of connected, so they were just glued together, which I thought was really weird. Because mostly if I have an issue with their characters, the plots are usually okay, and this author writes really good suspense. Honestly, if you're looking for a really, really suspenseful book that actually has suspense, she can nail it really well. However, this book didn't have that. Like, I wasn't suspended in suspense at all. I just felt kind of like, oh, we're doing this, and we're doing that. Okay. There was really no suspense at all, and I don't know, it felt weird. The other thing was, the characters drove me absolutely bonkers. I do know I've mentioned this in a couple, or at least one other video before, where, I reviewed one of her books. This author has a tendency to do repetitiveness, like, certain thoughts or characters saying things or whatever will just get repeated a lot. And that was happening a lot, and these characters were, like, complaining in their heads about how horrible they were or whatever, or things they were having issues with. The thing is, they didn't take any actions in the book to change their opinions, so they just literally sat there and complained, and I was just sitting there like, just do something then. Start doing something. Change a little bit. You can still have the same internal monologue, so to speak, but the characters have to actually move forward and do something about it, even if it's something that makes them fall flat on the face and doubt themselves more. At least they're attempting it, and these characters didn't. So, yeah, after 4 books of this author's, I'm just realizing this author is just not for me, so I won't be reading any more of her books, which is a bummer because she's a really nice person, but her books just don't connect with me. So, yeah, that's disappointing. Okay, the next category of books that I have are 3.5 reviews, and the first one is, if I can get the picture to go, Unfortunate Events. This is the first book in the Dragon Prince Chronicles, written by Kaytlin, Marisa, and Jaiden Phillips. This I also got an arc in exchange for honest opinion, and I thought it was good. It's a Christian fantasy. I don't think there's going to be any magic in it. There wasn't this far. There were like some like half dragon, half human people, but that's about it. And the Christian element didn't even come in until like the last, I want to say like 3 chapters, and it's like sort of mentioned. So it's pretty much just a clean read for most of it, and we follow this boy. He basically gets drafted to fight in the army for this kingdom, and he meets some other boys there, and they become friends, and it's their adventures. So I don't know, I found the way it's written, I would say this is definitely a book for slightly younger readers. Like, I would say older middle grade to younger YA type, that range. It was very fast-paced. I read it very quickly. It was written well for a debut for 3 authors. It is very well written. It doesn't feel like a debut at all. So that is good prompts to them. Because I've read some books where, you know, you can tell it was the author's first book or something, but this was very well written, very fast-paced. I enjoyed it. And the other 3-star book, or 3.5 star I should say, because Unfortunate Events was 3.5 stars. I don't know if I said that, but it is. The other one that I have is Feather and Flame by Livia Blackburne. I love the cover of this one, by the way. It's very beautiful. This is book 2 in the Queen's Council series. I don't think you have to read them in order. I didn't read the first book because I wasn't interested. But this is published by Disney, and it is kind of a historical sequel of sorts to Mulan, wherein she basically is chosen as the next empress by the Emperor of China, and she becomes Empress of China and has to deal with the political ramifications of being an empress in, you know, China, where, you know, they don't really look too highly on women. It was good. not really much to say, honestly. The battle scenes were okay. They were pretty good. I did like the fact that, because it does continue, like, Mulan and Shang's relationship, I did like that part, because there was kind of a forbidden quality to it, and I do like a good forbidden romance, so there was that part. That was actually, honestly, my favorite part. And pretty much Mulan and Shang are the only characters from the animated movie that made it into this story. There was no, like, Mushu or anything like that, which, I mean, they're going for a more historical aspect, so I understand why he's not in there and stuff. I enjoyed it. It was good. Really nothing much to say. There were some, like, weird parts with spirits helping her out, and there was, like, the Chinese what's it called, belief system of, like, praying to ancestors, and there was a lot of, like, different fortune telling things, like reading oracle bones, that's what it's called, doing oracle bones and things like that, that I wasn't a big fan of, but it's just there. And yeah, it's a pretty, in my opinion, it would be pretty forgettable book after a while, but I did enjoy it for what it was, and the cover is really, really pretty, especially if you see it in person, because it's like metallic and stuff, so I think I like the cover more than the story. So yeah, and my next section is, assuming I can get this to work again, basically, these are all 4-star books. Some of them I can't really say a lot because they're like continuations of series, but we'll get to that when we get there. And the first one I want to mention is I finished the Dragons of Starlight series by Bryan Davis. The second book, the second, third, and fourth books, the second one is Warrior. The third one, if I can find it, is Diviner. And yes, I am showing the old covers because I hate the new covers. You can see my review if you want to hear how I hate the new covers. And the fourth book is Liberator. I'm not going to say much about these because I just did a whole video review about the 6 reasons why you should read the series. I will link it down below in case you haven't seen it. And yeah, I really enjoyed rereading this series. I haven't read it in a long time. Really enjoyed getting back into the world and with those characters and just reliving that story again. And you can also, when you watch the video, you can see how I hate their new cover designs because honestly, Zondervan, what were you thinking? So yeah, there's that. So I have that one, and sorry, I'm trying to find the next one because I have them all over the place on this thing. Another continuation of a series. Oh wait, I didn't tell you what I rated them. Wow, I'm just all over the place. Warrior I gave 4 stars, and Diviner and Liberator I gave 4.5 stars. So there's that. And the next book I want to talk about is also a continuation of a series, and that is Untold by Vanessa Hall. This is book 3 in the Grace Sufficient series. This is a Christian, I think she has a market under romantic, yeah. It's a Christian romantic suspense thriller. Yeah, another great suspense author, honestly. If you want suspense that actually has suspense, Vanessa Hall is a great one. All of her books definitely have it. I think on the channel I've only reviewed one of her books, Unworthy, in one of my recent reads videos. I don't think I was on YouTube or I read the book when I read the first one, which is Unknown. These are all like standalones, but they're connected, that type of a series. So you can read them out of order, but you will get like some mild spoilers of like, you know, what couples end up together from the previous books and stuff like that. And maybe a few things of like where certain characters are connected and stuff. So you might get mild spoilers if you read them out of order, but I don't think it'll matter if like one book sounds more interesting over the others. I gave Untold 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. In it we follow Gabe. He is one of the main characters from the first book. His cousin Molly is the main character in this one. And the other main character is Nikolai or Nick. And basically Molly is in Russia to help Gabe in being a missionary, even though she doesn't really want to be there. Her dad just kind of sent her there. And Nick is hiding because he's basically a runaway CIA agent. And he has to hide because like terrible things will happen if he is ever discovered that he's alive. So, and then, so they're just trying to live their lives in Russia and try to figure out how to serve God and move on. And then one night a sniper shoots at them. So, you know, that's awkward. And they have to figure out why, and yeah, they're basically on the run. And that's where the whole suspense part comes in. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. The faith content is great in it. The characters feel very realistic. I was afraid Molly would be a little irritating at first when I started reading, because she was constantly thinking in her head, like, you know, how she wasn't a great missionary and all that. But she did actually try to improve and try to move forward, so I will give her prompts for that. And she definitely became a character I liked. I liked Nick and just their whole adventure. Really enjoyed it. My favorite characters are Gabe and Sophie, which are from the very first book, Unknown, and they made a bigger appearance in Untold, and just love seeing them again. And yeah, it's a great continuation to this series, and if you've never heard of these books before, I would highly recommend you check them out, especially if you like Christian romantic suspense, because they are top tier in my opinion. Okay, so the next sequel continuation of a series I read was Nightfall by Shannon Messenger. This is book 6 in the Keeper of the Lost City series. Obviously, I can't say much. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed the continuation of Sophie and her friends' adventures. I do feel, I don't know, some things are getting slightly convoluted. I felt like the middle dragged a tiny bit. It was not enough to annoy me, but it did feel a little wordy sometimes, of like, because there was a period when they were waiting for something to happen. So it was, Shannon Messenger wrote it well enough, but if it had gone on any longer, it would have been way too draggy. But that is pretty much the only critique I have on it. I'm still really enjoying this series, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Okay, and the next book I can show you, I actually own, so I can hold it up, and it's also a continuation of a series, because that's what I do, and that is Third Starlighter by Bryan Davis. This is the second book in the Tales of Starlight series, which is a companion series to the Dragons of Starlight series. This is the adult series, that is the young adult series. And yeah, in this we continue to follow Adrian and Marcel as Marcel tries to get reinforcements from their home planet of Major 4, while Adrian is basically still looking for his brother and runs across some other mysterious things. Obviously, can't say much more because it's the second book in a trilogy, and I still really love the way this sword is on the cover. I think that's so cool. But cover aside, I really enjoyed this. It's a really great continuation. These characters are growing a lot. I liked the connections to Warrior and Diviner. This is what this book covers of the YA series. It kind of crosses over into those two, and really enjoyed the references to that. And yeah, look forward to completing the trilogy, because I finally bought the 3rd book, so I can complete it now. And let's see, what else do I have to talk about? Okay. And yeah, I had a lot of books this time. And the next book I have to talk about that's all 4-star is Ashen by H.L. Burke. Burke, I think it's Burke. This is a Cinderella retelling, but it's a very different Cinderella retelling. It has steampunk elements to it. It is a standalone novel. I got this as an ebook, like, yeah, I don't care to say how long ago, because honestly I don't remember, for one. And for another, it's just embarrassing how often I don't get to ebooks. And yeah, so Ashen is basically about our girl Lisbeth. They call her Liz, so that's what I'm gonna call her for now, because I do not know how to say her name. And she lives in this like little town, and she's seen as kind of strange because she's like, her skin's like ashen colored, and she has the ability that when she touches like something warm, like say a person, a fireplace, the fire itself, things like that, she can suck the heat from it, which is especially dangerous because her blood will just keep sucking it. But that's especially dangerous if she's around like humans and animals, because she can literally kill them by accident, and she doesn't want to do that. She's just trying to fit into her town, and yeah, and they are extremely superstitious. Oh my goodness, those people were. I just like was like, what? Half the time when I was reading about these people complaining about her, it's like, really? And you know, I wanted to kick some of them, so you know. But yeah, and it's just her life in this village, and then these like earthquakes start happening, and she and her friend Brynar, not sure how to say his name, but he's also like the guy she has a crush on. They're trying to save his sister who has this like deadly fevers and stuff. Everybody's like written her off as like dying, but they're like, you know, we gotta do something, we gotta help her out, and there's all these different things going on, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is the most unique retelling of Cinderella I've ever read. It is really good. The world feels very real. I like the steampunk elements to it because they like use the volcanic vents and they like use the steam from it to like heat their houses, which just sounds super cool. And Liz is an amazing protagonist. She's a very traditional type Cinderella character. You know, she's calm and quiet and, you know, has a fire in her, but I don't know, she was also her own person too. She wasn't just like a caricature Cinderella character. She was very much her own person. And yeah, I just really liked her. I liked hers and Brynar's relationship. Their friendship turned to more, and yeah. And Ellen, who is Brynar's sister, she is like the most morbid little 10-year-old I've ever met, and she's great. I love her. Yeah. I don't know, it's a really, really good book. I like the fantasy elements and why the earthquakes are happening, and like the superstitions of the town folk though. We can just nix them. 'Cause yeah. But yeah, really enjoyed this book. Gave it 4 stars and would highly recommend checking it out. And the next book I read, well, I mean, not all of these are in order but of how I read them, but whatever. That is 4 star, is kind of an interesting one, and that is Ghostly Vendetta by Michelle Israel Harper. This is a ghost story, basically. This is a novella prequel to the Candace Marshall Chronicles. I have another book in that series I will be talking about later, and, well, technically the only other book out in that series, and this is a novella. Basically, Candace does not do anything scary at all, ever. Like, you know, ghosts, zombies, vampires, nothing. She doesn't do scary stuff, and then her college friends rope her into staying in a haunted house overnight. They think it's just, you know, a cool thing to hang out in this house. What they don't actually realize is that it actually truly is haunted. And yeah. It's just a fun little adventure. I don't normally read ghost stories. I'm not really that into them. I'm not really into, like, you know, freaking myself out. But if you like just a little bit creepy books that, you know, do a good job of just being a fun story, this is a great one. And I really enjoyed it. Candace is such a relatable protagonist to me because very much a lot of the things she does is like, oh yeah, I do that. So, you know, it's like, she's a very relatable character to me, and I really enjoyed this book. So, yeah, if you like a little bit of creepy, I mean, some of these scenes, like, really kind of legit creeped me out a little bit. Like, you know, I was near the end of part of it, I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm just gonna finish this before I go to bed, because, you know, don't want any weird dreams. So, yeah, really, really good. Has a mild creep factor, and, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Okay. And the last 4 star I have to talk about today is a book I just finished recently, and that is Rose, Petals, and Snowflakes by Kendra E. Ardnek. I think that's how you say her name. This is a mashup retelling of the Grimm's Brothers fairy tale Snow White and Rose Red and Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, which is a very unique combination, in my opinion. I have never read a Jane Austen book or even seen an adaptation, so and Sense and Sensibility is the one I really know nothing about, except that it's mostly a sister story, which is why it pairs really well with Snow White and Rose Red, which I have read the original fairy tale of that one. So, yeah, basically these 2 sisters are, you know, just living their lives in their own kingdom, and one of the eldest sister has to find their half-brother in a forest, but when she brings him back, since the forest was like magical, it decides to basically kidnap her and her sister and her mother and bring them back to the forest because she's supposed to fix it. Because reasons. And yeah, it's just basically a fairy tale retelling. It's a very fairy tale-esque feeling story. It's just very light and fun. Very much focuses on family. There was some romance in it, but it was very, very mild, which if you're looking for like a more romance heavy type fairy tale retelling, this is not it. But if you just want a more family focused one with just a tiny bit of romance, this would be a perfect book for you. Also has vibes of like Frozen, the movie. If you like that movie, you'll probably really like this book. The author did make a note at the end that she said a lot of people said that it was related to Frozen, and she was like, Frozen did not inspire this story at all, but, you know, the similarities are there with like the sisterhood bonds and stuff. And yeah, I just thought it was a fun, nice little story. Okay, and my last section is my 5-star reads for the month, which there are several. So, because, you know, that seems to be the theme of this video, is that there are several in each category. And the first one is the Clean Fiction Magazine Autumn Edition 2022. I really enjoyed all the issues of this. This is basically a nonfiction magazine of like book reviews and articles and such things like that. And because they review clean and Christian fiction books, mainly like the fantasy, sci-fi, they have some like romance, mystery, adventure, they have all different types of books, manga and graphic novels. And in this one especially, let's see if I can find it again, if you didn't see my short story announcement video, I will leave that link down below. I actually was a winner in their short story contest that they hold in here. Here's a sample of the page. And my story is called Waves. And yeah, I'm very excited to have this printed in here, and just, yeah, it's just like, wow, surreal. I have a third thing published this year. It's crazy. But yeah, that is in this magazine. So if you'd like to read my story Waves, this magazine is available in like ebook and paperback. And yeah, the lady who created this, she does most of the work, and she does an awesome job with this. So yeah, highly recommend you support this self-published indie magazine. And get some great book recommendations while you're at it. Okay. Alright, the next book I'm going to talk about is The Dragon Prince's Heart by Selina R. Gonzalez. This is book 1.5 in the Marigold Chronicles. This is a companion novella to her novel A Thieving Curse, which is the very first book in the series, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So in this novella, you kind of get the Beast's perspective from the love interest Alexander. And because he doesn't have a point of view in A Thieving Curse, so the author wrote some of the beginning of A Thieving Curse from his point of view in this book. So there are mild spoilers. If you have not read A Thieving Curse, there will be mild spoilers in here for that book. So I would recommend reading A Thieving Curse first and then read this one. But if you just think this one sounds interesting and just want to see what it's about, you can totally read this without reading the other one. You'll just get spoiled for a few like different plot twists and stuff. But I really love Selina's work. She's one of my favorite authors, and I really love this cover. It's really cool. I just really like the cool dragon design. So I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, and the next one I have to talk about, I'm just making sure on my list here I have them in the correct order, and that is a new release. In fact, it released today that I'm filming this, October 25th. So happy book birthday, Michaela. That is Back to Me by Michaela Bush. And this is a contemporary Christian story. It is a more hard-hitting contemporary Christian, so it's not like the light fluffy variety, so just a little heads up on that. And in this book we follow Bridget. She is recovering from some like trauma and stuff that she's had in her past, and it's not really working out. She still gets like panic attacks for no reason, and like it's depression and stuff, and her friends are worried about her, so they connect her with a pastor to try to, you know, get her some counseling and help her out. But can she really heal from what she's been through? And yeah, this story is just her journey of healing and coming closer to God, and just, you know, realizing he's always been there even through the hard stuff. And I really love this book. I really connected with it as someone who's been through kind of like past trauma myself, I really, really connected with this book and what Bridget goes through. And just, yeah, it's a very healing, slow build. It just, yeah, it's just an amazing book. It really touched me a lot. And yeah, I think it would really help and touch a lot of other people as well. There is mild trigger warnings in here for past pastoral abuse and parental abuse, so keep that in mind. Nothing's ever detailed, but it is mentioned about, and obviously that is the trauma Bridget is going through. So if anyone has triggers to that or something, I would say look into other reviews and see if this book would fit you or not. Okay, and the next book I have to talk about is Golden Braids and Dragon Blades by Melanie Karsak. This, I never heard about it before until I read a review on it for, on Fairy Tale Central's website. I'll leave a link to their website below because they do a lot of great things. They basically take a fairy tale a month and review it. They go over the old fairy tale. They do like story ideas for it. They review books that have been retold about it and stuff like that if there are any. And it's a really great site, and I got this recommendation off of it. It is a mashup of Rapunzel and King Arthur, and basically in this, Rapunzel is basically a descendant of King Arthur, and she has been hidden away with her tiny little dragon companions because people are hunting her. And then when a guy named Ewan comes across her, basically things go off in a chain of reaction. And did you hear the thunder? Anyways, there's a chain reaction, and she has to now, either run or hide for the rest of her life. And it's a very small little book, and it is a steampunk version. So we're in England with like steampunk stuff, and that was really cool. I felt very much there. Rapunzel and Ewan are the cutest ever. I love both of their characters. They are just wonderful and adorable, and I love them to death. And the dragons, they're tiny little dragons, if you can see them here. They're like, cat-sized dragons. Who doesn't want some cat-sized dragons? I want a cat-sized dragon. He'd probably burn down the house, but that's a problem. but he'd be cute. And yeah, I really enjoy Rapunzel and King Arthur retellings, and just this one was a perfect one. The only caveat to this is that there is quite a bit of language. It's pretty mild language, but there are several uses of Lord, God, and Christ in vain, which I am not a big fan of, but which is why I'm not going to be picking up any more of this author's works. I'm not sure I'd like them anyways. I just really liked this one, but the characters are really great. The setting is very immersive, even though it's a very small little book, and I really enjoyed this book. So there is the thing about the language. I do have a review on Goodreads specifying how many times each one is used, but I'm definitely just going to find a way to blot them out of this book and enjoy it. So yeah, because other than that, it's a really clean, really cute story, and just, yeah, really, really liked it a lot. Also, this cover is awesome. And the last book I have to talk about is a really weird one. It's kind of up there with Ghostly Vendetta, which makes sense because it is the first book of the same series, and that is Zombie Takeover by Michelle Israel Harper. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Zombies, really? I wouldn't normally read this either, except for some bizarre reason, I keep seeing this book everywhere. I have no idea even where I first heard about it. I thought it was on YouTube somewhere, but then now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not even fully sure if that's where I first saw it, or if I saw it on a blog at one point when it first came out. I have no idea where I first heard about this book, but it's been everywhere, and I've been curious about it ever since I've seen it, even though I am not one to read zombie books. It's just, I don't know. Zombies are just gross. They're supposed to be. It's dead people walking around. But, I don't know, I've just never been interested in reading about it until this book. And basically in this, Candace is basically just, her boyfriend gets tickets to a zombie movie, which she absolutely hates, for her birthday. Because that's nice. And yeah, and then while they're at the screen, she basically just leaves, and then yeah, it just seems like zombies suddenly appear. Basically, like, she and another guy, Gavin, they basically are the only survivors, and basically the zombie apocalypse has started, and yeah, she's terrified. Gavin's trying to keep everything under control, and chaos ensues from there as they try to survive and avoid zombies, because that's a smart thing to do. And yeah, this is just fun. This is also Christian. It's not overt faith tones, but she does believe in God. She does pray to God on numerous occasions, because who wouldn't in this situation? And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's very much she believes, and it's there, but it's not strictly like there's lots of faith content or anything like that. It is a very clean story. There are mentions of like blood spraying and like some mild descriptions of like what the zombies look like, and some like mild descriptions of like there's gore. Like, that's the way it's stated. So it's not a very gory book, you know, like maybe other zombie books are. I would imagine they are. I have not read them, nor do I care to read them. But yes, it's just a fun take. I love Candace. Like I've said before, she is just a relatable character to me. And Gavin's a really great guy, and he's very respectful of her, which I find tends to be kind of rare in books. You know, like, that are not strictly Christian. Even then, if they're strictly Christian, I can sometimes be like, really, to the guys. But he's just very respectful of her, and I really like that. Yeah, it's a fun adventure, a fun ride. If you can handle, like, the Indiana Jones movies, you can probably handle this book. There is a little bit of a creep factor. I mean, obviously we're dealing with zombies here, and, you know, they get attacked and chased around by zombies a lot. But, yeah, it's really cool, and I don't want to say too much, but there is a twist in here that, like, I did not see coming, and then, like, sat there, and then I sat there and, like, my brain could not stop thinking about it for, like, days. So, you know, that made a big impact on me, and yeah, I desperately want the second book. Yeah, because there is a second book to this. I think there's going to be a trilogy, but yeah, I really, really wanted the second book, you know, yesterday. And it's not out yet, so I'll just have to tempt myself with reading this one again sometime soon. And yeah, those are all the books I have read fairly recently. Most of them, I would say most of them are like September, October-ish that I've read them, and this is a very long video, so sorry for that, but hopefully it was entertaining, and hopefully you got a lot of good book recommendations from it. And yeah, so let's just talk books down below in the comments. Let me know if you guys have read any of these. Let me know if a book you guys are reading currently. Yeah, and I will see you next time. So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!